will not play this night.
Hello, my name is Kate and I'm gonna tell you about the demon who's definitely gonna be your Valentine in D&D.
Malcanthet was a Tanari demon prince or princess. She was also called Queen of Succubi, who conquered one of the layers of the Abyss and turned it into the Deadly Heaven. She can be found in early D&D adventures of 3rd edition, where the demon was first introduced in Maori Castle adventure, and bits by bits was developed ever since. Malcanthet was one of the prime succubi who appeared through chaotic wheels of Abyss. She had intimate relationships with many powerful demons, including Demogorgon, and throughout her lifetime created many enemies such as Grast. She even battled companions of the Whole, yet lost.
But how did she come to all this? Let's figure it out.
All the succubi and incubi were born as all Tanari demons did. However, instead they decided to embrace the mortal form for their own advantage. The succubi gained strength in the abyss and soon grew to great power. However, they were always in conflict with one another, which led to the war of ripe flesh between them. And from this war arose four strongest, who consumed the essence of the fallen and grew powerful as never before. They were pretending to take the top of the food chain among succubi. Those were Shami Amurai, Xenivrai, Linkhap, and Malcanthet. Shami Amurai was the oldest of primes, being born the earliest of the Abyss. Being a consort of Demogorgon, her power and influence were much greater than of Malcanthet.
Though Malcanthet was smarter, she revealed Shami's evil manipulations of the Demon Lord, and he got enraged and imprisoned her in the Wells of the Darkness, one of the layers of the Abyss, where she's trapped ever since.
Next, Malcanthet openly battled Xenivrai, the succubi who focused on the seduction of women. In battle, she lashed her with her whip, leaving a deadly wound on her body and casting her down the Dreaming Gulf, 230 layer of the Abyss. The last of the four, Linkhap, survived the attack of the cunning Malcanthet, however, became completely devastated and harmless to pose any real threat to the newborn queen.
I found another story of her rising to power in Dragon Magazine 417. It's just my opinion, but I think it feels less like D&D lore. There, Malcanthet was a fallen angel and technically referred as a devil. She, Lilith, and Asmodeus became corrupted, and while Lilith took the domains of Hell, Malcanthet took the domains of Abyss, where the twisted energies twisted her body and mind, and then she became a demon lord.
Malcanthet ruled the 570th layer of the Abyss Shendilvari for more than 2000 years, which is still considered a small amount of time in cosmic terms. Being smart and craving for power, she constantly wages war against her enemies and strengthens her domain with various fiends.
Based on all information I could find, I took the courage to approximate that she became the Queen of Succubi in around 700 to 900 before Dale Reckoning. Of course she had followers before, but now, with rising to power, their numbers significantly decreased.
Once entered her new domain, she transformed it to her liking. Unlike other demonic layers, this one looked like a glimpse of heaven. Upon the beautiful realm lies Malcanthet Palace in Rivenheart, an open-air structure with no doors. In the center of it stays the throne, where she sits. Malcanthet had many followers on material plane, but since her rise to power the number were gradually increasing through the hundreds of years, though material plane cults were mostly disorganized and very fractured. In early editions, there was even a prestige class role of Malcanthet, which could be achieved by bards, clerics, sorcerers, and only females. Others could do it too, but with a bit greater effort.
Eluvia Maur was one of the zealous followers of Malcanthet. She oversaw the construction of Eluvian pits under her castle, where she tortured her victims in the mistress' name. After decades, Eluvia clashed with her family, who adopted the ways of the Malcanthet, and this resulted in the destruction of the family and of the castle in approximately 585 by Grayhawk timeline or about 1365 by Toril timeline.
There are other loyal servants of the Queen. Those are 13 Radiant Sisters. The Radiant Sisters were lily two bards who served under their mistress. Each had a halo above their head which radiated with different colors. Their names actually resemble the colors they radiated: midnight, violet, crimson, snow, jade, ash, cherry, emerald, rose, hyacinth, tawny, ivory, and azure. Each of them kept a heart-shaped lock, which was a dimensional prison for most hated enemies of Malcanthet. However, she personally keeps Sifku, a dormant Laumara lord, under her citadel in a prison, hoping to learn how to drain his essence and become even more powerful. She is a statuesque beauty who wears a sardonic smile on her ruby lips. Curved horns jut from her brow to hold back her long dark hair, and her eyes smolder with dangerous red sensuality. Large bat-like wings stretch from her back, the joints of which are laced with razor-like claws and adorned with jewelry. A sinuous tail that ends in a thin-curved spike completes the image of demonic beauty.
Those who she favored or wanted to keep close, she kissed. Her queen's kiss left an unseen mark on the victim's body in the form of the two pierced lips with a spike. The demon also knew the location of the victim and always had an advantage.
The favorite weapon of Malcanthet is a whip, which she calls Lover's Slash. Only powerful mages could revert the horrible life-draining lashes with a wish spell. However, the wound would still persist forever, as a reminder of the demoness fury. However, the Queen of Succubi prefers not to go in blunt combat, rather delegating this task to her minions, usually lesser Tanari demons or those dominated by her. If the enemies are formidable, she calls forth the Radiant Sisters for the aid. The list of lovers and enemies of Malcanthet is probably endless. The most known of her enemies are Grast, who was rejected by her, and since then both demons stay in the state of Cold War, constantly spying on each other and trying to get an upper hand. Also, another enemies are Yenohu and Baphomet.
Malcanthet always schemes and aims for self-satisfaction in order to achieve even greater unique flash of emotions, and therefore her lovers are quite specific. So I created a family tree to show you guys.
Malcanthet has her lovers among demons and demon lords. The oldest one is Pazuzu. They conceived many children, of which the most known is Succubi Red Shroud. Red Shroud also had an offspring but sold her own child into slavery. The name of her daughter was Fall from Grace. She can be met in Planescape Torment video game in around 1367 DR. Another lover who tried to get support against Grass was Sok of Banos. He also had an intimate relationship with his Succubi sister Nocticula.
Current favorite lover is Mastifal, presented Malcanthet with a huge fiendish Smilodon head and won her favor. So that's how you guys do. Don't bring her chocolate or flowers, bring her the head of a demon.
And lastly, fearful Demogorgon. From this alliance she gave birth to Arendagost, a horrid creature with 3 heads. However, in 3069, Malcanthet betrayed Demogorgon when he set his own plan in motion and tried to madden thousands of cities on the material plane. Malcanthet reappears 100 years later, in 1484, as an envoy of Asmodeus in the Nine Hells. However, her role there is very episodic and it is not known why she is there.
In 1485, during the Out of the Abyss campaign event, Demogorgon was slain in the tunnels of the Underdark, and Malcanthet lost her most powerful ally. And that means they're back together again. That's a love story. She decided to leave the Abyss to Material Plane too in order to stay away from Grast. That might be what she was seeking the favors from Asmodeus earlier, to hide from Abyss enemies on Hell layers.
After 2 years, in 1487, she found a way to do it, and with the help of Drow House Sundering, was transferred in a gemstone that was then transported across all Toriel to King Yaren Frostmantle of Damara and Queen Concertina. Apparently, sometime before, in 1486, she met with Asevirok in the Abyss, who provided her with Mirror of Soul Trapping, and she agreed to return it back later full to him, as the Lich needed soul energy for his Soulmonger. She corrupted the Queen entering her body, however the companions of the Hall managed to drive her away, leaving the Queen on the floor. Malcanthet escaped.
Is she a strong character? From the lore perspective, she's a cunning, ruthless and smart fiend who possesses lots of allies. She also has her own domain and loyal followers. She is a demon lord and she is deadly. From a technical perspective, according to 3rd edition of D&D where I found her stats, she has a challenge rating of 28 and more than 400 HP, lots of armor and powerful artifacts, as well as crowd control abilities. Even Drist and his friends decided to trick her and avoid the full encounter. And now a bit of DM tips on how to play her. Start the combat from afar. Use your crowd control abilities to manipulate players attack each other and use your minions to prevent them reaching you. Don't forget that you are playing as Succubi after all, so roleplay her as required. And don't forget that you can use her as a helping character who tries to achieve her own aims through the hands of the party. And that's all on Malcanthet, and we will probably see her again as she's well and alive and probably is having fun with some demons on her own Valentine Day now. So if you like the lore, please press like and subscribe button and tell me in the comments below who else you would like to hear about. And see you next time.